1. Women remember the emotions, not just the words. When a woman hears something, she doesn't just record the sentence like a tape recorder. She absorbs how it was said, the tone, the tension, the softness, the slight hesitation in a voice. That emotional layer gets stored much deeper in her memory than the literal words themselves. That's why she can look at someone years later and remember exactly how that moment made her feel, even when the details of the conversation are blurry. For women, emotions are not background noise, they're the foundation. This is also why careless tones can cut deeper than careless words. What you say might fade, but how you made her feel becomes a permanent chapter in her emotional memory. 2. A woman's silence can say more than 1,000 words. When she goes silent, it's not always indifference. Sometimes, silence is what happens when every explanation has already been given, every emotion already spilled. It's not weakness, it's power, it's protection. It's the point where she decides her peace matters more than being understood by someone who isn't listening. People often misread a woman's silence as coldness, but in truth, it's often the sound of someone who has simply learned not to waste her words on ears that don't care. That silence is heavy. It's not empty. And if you've ever seen a woman choose silence over speaking, you've witnessed strength disguised as stillness. 3. Women smile even when they're broken inside. Many women learn from a young age to smile through pain. Society often teaches them that quiet strength is admirable, that vulnerability is weakness, that being too emotional makes them less believable. So they wear a smile even when it hurts. It's not because they don't feel pain, it's because they've learned to protect their hearts from the world's judgment. That soft smile can be a mask, a wall, and a quiet scream all at once, and those who see only the surface will never understand how much strength it takes to smile through the ache. 4. Women form emotional bonds faster and deeper. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, plays a powerful role in how women emotionally connect. When a woman starts trusting someone, her brain creates a deeper emotional attachment far quicker than she may even realize. That's why betrayal cuts so sharply. To her, a bond isn't just a moment. It's a thread woven into her sense of safety. Once that trust is established, she lets down walls that were built from years of pain, insecurity, and hard lessons. She doesn't just connect with words. She connects with energy, with consistency, with how someone shows up when the world gets loud. 5. A woman who seems cold has usually been warmed too many times. That distant woman who appears untouchable wasn't always that way. Most of the time, she's the woman who gave too much of herself in the past. Her patience, her trust, her heart. Only to be left carrying shards of it alone. Coldness isn't her nature. It's her defense. It's a quiet warning. I've been here before, and I won't break the same way twice. Beneath the layers of calm detachment, there's often a soul that once loved fearlessly. 6. Women notice energy before words. A woman can walk into a room and instantly feel when something's off. She may not have proof, but she senses it. The shift in tone, the subtle change in rhythm, the way someone avoids her eyes. This heightened sensitivity isn't weakness. It's emotional intelligence sharpened through years of observing, adapting, and surviving. She doesn't need an explanation. She reads the air. 7. A woman who loves deeply remembers details forever. When a woman truly loves, she remembers things you didn't even notice you did. She remembers how your voice cracked at 2 a.m. when you finally opened up. She remembers your favorite snack on days you were exhausted. She remembers what made you laugh, what made you quiet, what made you real. Love for her isn't just a feeling. It's a map of everything that made the connection feel alive. 8. Women forgive faster than they heal. When a woman says, "It's okay," it often isn't. It's her way of holding peace together while she bleeds on the inside. Forgiveness for her isn't erasure, it's survival. But wounds don't disappear just because she decided to forgive. They stay, quietly shaping how she moves, how she trusts, how she protects herself the next time. 9. Women feel emotions. In layers, not lines, emotions for a woman are rarely black and white. She can feel joy and grief in the same breath. She can love someone deeply while knowing she needs to walk away. She can smile while her heart aches. These layered emotions are part of what makes her both delicate and fierce. To understand her, you have to stop looking for simple answers. 10. When a woman trusts you, you hold a fragile power. Earning her trust isn't a game. It's a slow, quiet unfolding of everything she's kept hidden. When she chooses to trust, she isn't just handing over secrets. She's handing over the softest, most unguarded part of her soul. If you ever hold a woman's trust in your hands, know that breaking it doesn't just change how she sees you. It changes how she sees the world. 11. When a woman starts distancing herself, it's not random. It's a decision born in silence. People often think emotional distance happens overnight, but with women, it almost never does. Before she pulls away, she notices every subtle shift. She absorbs every quiet betrayal, every small disappointment, every moment someone made her feel unseen. She collects them like pebbles in her pocket, until one day, the weight becomes too heavy. That's when she retreats. Her silence isn't sudden. It's a quiet answer to pain she never spoke about. She doesn't slam the door. She simply stops standing in it. 12. Women protect their hearts long after they've been broken. When someone breaks a woman's heart, it doesn't just heal and reset. A part of her starts guarding every doorway to her soul. She questions kindness. She replays motives. She becomes careful with who she lets close. It's not coldness, it's survival. She's rebuilding trust in the world, brick by brick, hoping someone will be patient enough to stay while she learns to open up again. 13. A woman's laughter can be a shield as much as it is a song. When a woman laughs, the world sees joy. But sometimes that laugh is hiding something she can't explain. Humor is often a defense mechanism, a soft veil over a scarred heart. It's easier to laugh than to bleed in front of people who might not understand. Her laughter isn't fake, it's layered. It's joy and pain coexisting in one beautiful sound. 14. Women have a unique ability to love broken things. A woman can love someone who doesn't see their own worth. She can hold a storm in her hands and call it home. She can pour light into places where no one else dared to go. This is both her gift and her curse. She sees potential where others see problems. But if that love isn't returned with the same depth, it starts to drain her slowly, piece by piece. 15. When a woman walks away, quietly, it's the loudest goodbye. A woman rarely explodes when she's done. She doesn't beg, doesn't scream, she simply walks away with everything she gave, her love, her trust, her fire, and leaves silence behind. That silence is the echo of every chance she offered, every late-night prayer for things to change. When she walks away quietly, it's because she's already screamed in her heart 1,000 times. 16. Women often carry other people's pain like their own. Women have an incredible emotional capacity. They absorb the pain of those they love as if it's their own. They worry deeply, feel deeply, care deeply, sometimes to the point of forgetting themselves. That empathy can heal others, but it can also break her if no one ever thinks to ask, "How are you doing?" A woman who carries the world in her chest eventually needs someone to carry her too. 17. When a woman is soft, it's not weakness, it's courage. Being soft in a world that has hardened her is an act of rebellion. A woman who loves despite being hurt, who trusts despite being betrayed, who smiles despite the weight on her shoulders, that's not fragile. That's powerful. Her softness is her weapon. It's proof she refused to let the world make her bitter. 18. A woman who feels deeply also remembers longer. Pain doesn't just pass through her, it roots itself, like ink soaking into paper. She may forgive, she may smile, she may even move on. But somewhere inside her, that memory lives on as a lesson, as a scar, as a reminder. And those who mistake her forgiveness for forgetfulness will learn just how sharp a quiet memory can be. 19. Women often hold back tears not because they don't want to cry, but because they're tired of not being understood. She's cried before, she's explained before, she's opened up before, and too many times it didn't change a thing. So now, when the pain rises in her chest, she swallows it down and turns it into silence, not because she doesn't feel it, but because she's learned the world doesn't always hear women when they speak softly. 20. When a woman loves herself, she becomes untouchable. The most powerful transformation is when a woman stops seeking validation from others and starts giving it to herself. She learns that she doesn't need to beg to be chosen. She doesn't need to shrink to be loved. When she loves herself, she walks differently. She speaks differently. And suddenly, what once broke her no longer has power over her. That's not arrogance, that's liberation. 21. Women remember the moments they stopped explaining. There comes a point in many women's lives where they stop trying to convince someone of their worth, their feelings, or their pain. That moment is quiet, but defining. She remembers the exact second she realized that repeating herself was only exhausting her soul, not changing the situation. That's when the switch flips, from trying to be understood to protecting her peace. Once a woman reaches that place, it's nearly impossible to pull her back into the chaos she walked out of. That silence becomes her strength. 22. Women feel love through consistency, not promises. A woman doesn't fall for grand gestures alone. She falls for the small, repeated actions that tell her she matters. It's not about what someone says when everything's easy. It's about how they show up when things are hard. Consistency to a woman is love in motion. It's the quiet reassurance that she's safe, valued, and not just an afterthought. Words can melt her heart, but actions are what make it stay open. 23. A woman who loves deeply sees beauty in imperfections. When a woman truly loves someone, she sees their flaws not as reasons to leave, but as proof they're human. She memorizes their imperfections like poetry, not to fix them, but to understand them. Her love is rarely shallow. It's layered, patient, and often too forgiving. But once she realizes that love isn't being reciprocated with the same depth, she quietly gathers her heart and walks away. 24. Women notice when love starts to feel like a one-way street. She doesn't need someone to say it out loud. She notices when messages turn colder, when conversations become shorter, when their eyes stop lighting up at the sound of her voice. She notices when love starts to feel heavy. And even if she stays for a while, deep down, she's already preparing to let go. 25. A woman who loves her own company becomes hard to manipulate. When a woman learns to find peace in solitude, she becomes dangerous to anyone who tries to control her with attention or withdrawal. She's no longer chasing validation, she's choosing connection. When she enjoys her own company, love stops being a need and starts being a choice. 26. Women remember pain in silence, but they also heal in silence. Not every woman screams her pain out loud. Some bury it deep inside their chest, nursing it in the dark where no one can see. But just as they remember quietly, they also rise quietly. One day, she wakes up and the weight is lighter. One day, she stops checking her phone. One day, she stops caring. Healing for women isn't always dramatic. It's often slow, silent, and unstoppable. 27. Women see through pretense faster than they reveal. A woman might not call it out immediately, but she knows when someone's pretending. She sees it in the way their words don't match their eyes. She feels it in the energy. And though she might give them the benefit of the doubt, she tucks that knowledge away. Because once a woman sees through you, she never really sees you the same way again. 28. When a woman starts loving herself, she rewrites her story. For years, she may have dimmed her light to make others comfortable, played small to fit into spaces too tight for her spirit. But once she starts loving herself, everything changes. She walks taller. She speaks with clarity. She demands respect, not through anger, but through presence. Loving herself doesn't make her selfish, it makes her free. 29. Women don't always leave when they're hurt. Sometimes they leave when they're tired. Pain is one thing, exhaustion is another. A woman can survive pain, but the endless weight of repeating cycles, unspoken disappointment, and feeling like she's carrying everything alone, that's what finally breaks her. And when she's tired, she doesn't slam the door. She simply stops knocking. 30. When a woman loves without fear, it's a rare kind of magic. When a woman chooses to love with her whole soul, not out of need, not out of fear of being alone, but simply because she wants to, it's something extraordinary. That love is pure, fearless, and luminous. It's the kind of love that can transform someone. But it only exists where she feels safe. Because the right love doesn't cage her. It lets her bloom. 31. When a woman smiles and says she's fine, she's usually protecting herself. When she says I'm fine, it's rarely about being fine at all. It's a quiet shield she builds in the moment, because explaining herself would either cost too much energy or open a wound she isn't ready to show. It's not about lying, it's about survival. She's protecting her heart from being dismissed, misunderstood, or belittled. Behind that calm smile often lives a storm she's choosing to weather alone. 32. Women remember the way they were treated long after they forget the words. She might forget what was said, but she will never forget how someone made her feel. The tone, the energy, the way they looked at her when she was vulnerable. Those are the fragments that get stored in her chest like tiny tattoos. That's why, when a woman grows distant, it's not always because of one big betrayal. Sometimes it's the accumulation of small, unforgettable moments that changed how she sees someone forever. 33. A woman's instinct is rarely wrong, she just learns to doubt it. From a young age, women are taught to second-guess their intuition, but their gut, that quiet inner alarm, is usually right. She can feel the energy shift in a room. She can sense when someone's not being real. She knows when something's off. The tragedy isn't that she can't tell. It's that she often convinces herself to ignore it. But once she learns to trust that voice again, it becomes one of her greatest powers. 34. When a woman becomes quiet, she's already said everything in her mind 1,000 times. Her silence isn't emptiness, it's exhaustion. It's what happens when she's explained, defended, and hoped too many times. By the time she goes quiet, she's already cried in the dark, rehearsed the conversations, and accepted truths she didn't want to face. Her silence is never the beginning of a problem. It's the end. 35. Women who have been through pain love differently. A woman who's had her heart broken doesn't love with naive trust anymore. She loves with open eyes. She moves carefully, reads intentions like poetry, listens between the lines. But if someone earns her trust, her love is deeper than anyone can imagine, because she knows what it means to be shattered, and she'll never give a piece of herself lightly again. 36. Women hide their strongest emotions behind their softest expressions. She may look calm, her voice may sound steady, but inside, her soul could be shaking. Women often master the art of appearing fine even when they're not. Not because they're deceptive, but because the world rarely gives them permission to fall apart. Her soft smile isn't weakness, it's armor. 37. Women notice who makes them feel safe without having to ask. Safety isn't just about protection, it's about presence. A woman remembers who listens when she speaks, who respects her boundaries without being told, who makes her feel seen in a world that often talks over her. She doesn't need declarations, she notices actions. And once she feels truly safe with someone, she loves with a loyalty that can't be bought or forced. 38. Women don't just fall in love with people, they fall in love with feelings. She remembers how someone made her laugh on a bad day, how their voice softened when they spoke to her, how their presence felt like home. For her, it's never just about looks. It's about energy, emotion, and connection. She falls in love with how someone makes her feel when the world gets quiet. 39. A woman's no isn't always loud, but it's final. When a woman says no softly, calmly, without explanation, that's the real boundary. She doesn't need to raise her voice to mean it. She's learned that real power doesn't need to scream. Her no comes from knowing her worth, from refusing to shrink. And anyone who mistakes her softness for weakness is about to meet steel wrapped in silk. 40. Women remember who held their silence gently. Some of the most unforgettable people in a woman's life aren't the loud ones. They're the ones who sat with her when she was quiet, who didn't rush her to explain, who respected her silence instead of trying to fill it. Because for a woman, being understood without words is rare, and rare is remembered. 41. When a woman trusts you enough to be vulnerable, that's sacred. Vulnerability doesn't come easily, it's earned. When she shows you her scars, when she tells you her fears, when she lets you see her raw, it's not weakness. It's one of the most powerful acts of courage she can give. If you betray that, you're not just breaking trust. You're breaking a part of her that took years to rebuild. 42. Women who love hard also hurt deeply. The same intensity with which she loves is the same intensity with which she bleeds when she's hurt. She doesn't love halfway, and she doesn't break halfway either. That's why, when she heals, she becomes unrecognizable, stronger, wiser, harder to fool. 43. A woman who chooses herself isn't selfish, she's waking up. For years, she might have been told to put everyone else first, to shrink her needs, to be quiet. But the moment she realizes she matters just as much as anyone else, everything changes. She starts saying no without guilt. She walks away from what drains her. She stops begging to be chosen. She becomes the choice. 44. Women don't always forget. They just decide to stop bleeding over the same wound. She may smile again. She may laugh again. But that doesn't mean the pain never existed. It means she chose to stop letting it control her. Women have an unmatched ability to rebuild from ashes. But make no mistake, the lesson remains written in the deepest parts of them. 45. When a woman reclaims her power, she no longer seeks permission to exist. This is her final form, not the one built from pleasing, not the one shaped by fear, but the one forged in truth. She speaks without apology. She loves without begging. She walks with the weight of every battle she survived and the grace of someone who knows exactly who she is. A woman in her power doesn't ask the world to understand her. She simply becomes. 46. When a woman learns to listen to her gut, she becomes unstoppable. Her intuition isn't a random feeling. It's years of emotional observation, quiet awareness, and subconscious processing turning into instinct. When she finally stops silencing that voice, she starts walking through life differently. She trusts herself more. She stops waiting for proof to act. She sees things others miss, and she moves like someone who's no longer seeking permission to trust her own senses. 47. Women don't fall out of love in a day. They fall out of love in silence. It happens slowly. A little less laughter here, a little less softness there. One disappointment at a time. She stops reaching out first. She stops explaining why she feels hurt. And when she finally leaves, people call it sudden, not realizing it took 1,000 quiet heartbreaks to get there. 48. Women who learn to be alone become fearless. When she's no longer afraid of her own company, no threat of loneliness can control her. She stops chasing what doesn't feed her soul. She starts choosing her peace over half-hearted love. A woman who's at peace alone cannot be manipulated with fear. She's free. 49. Women see details. Others miss. She notices the way someone avoids eye contact when they're lying. She picks up on the tremble in someone's voice when they're hiding pain. She catches the tiny shifts in tone that reveal more than words ever could. Her sensitivity is her radar, both a blessing and a curse. She can sense truth before it's spoken. 50. A woman who loves deeply can also leave deeply. Her love is pure, powerful, and consuming. But when it's disrespected, when it's met with indifference, she doesn't explode. She detaches. And when she does, there's no coming back. She doesn't hate. She simply chooses herself over someone who wouldn't. 51. Women remember who made them feel small. Even if she forgives, she remembers the weight of every dismissal, every eye roll, every time someone spoke over her. Those moments write themselves into her backbone, not to make her bitter, but to make her sharper. A woman never forgets the moment she realized she deserved more. 52. A woman's silence is a language, and when she goes quiet, she's not always breaking down. Sometimes she's observing, calculating, deciding. Her silence speaks more than words ever could. It's the moment before a chapter closes, before a door locks, forever. 53. When a woman falls in love with her future more than her past, she's untouchable. She stops clinging to what's gone. She starts building what's ahead. She no longer needs someone to save her, because she's already saving herself. That's the moment she becomes a force no one can contain. 54. Women who love themselves attract different energy. She no longer tolerates the bare minimum. She no longer bends for crumbs. She radiates a quiet strength that makes weak intentions fall away on their own. Loving herself shifts everything, because she's no longer trying to be chosen. She chooses. 55. Women feel betrayal before they hear it. She may not have proof yet, but she feels it. The way a laugh changes, the way someone stops looking at her the same, the absence that speaks louder than lies. And even if she doesn't say it right away, she knows. A woman always knows. Psychological Facts About Women, Part 8, 56. A woman who sets boundaries has learned to love herself. It's not about being cold or difficult. It's about finally realizing that her time, energy, and heart have value. Boundaries aren't walls. They're doors she controls. She decides who gets to enter and who stays outside. That's power wrapped in softness. 57. Women who have been broken become their own protectors. Once she survived being shattered, she learns to build her own armor. Not because she doesn't want love, but because she won't let just anyone near the parts she rebuilt with her bare hands. Her strength is carved from her pain. 58. Women don't always crave attention. They crave understanding. She doesn't want the spotlight. She wants to be seen without having to shout, to be understood without explaining every detail. When she finds someone who listens without judgment, she blooms. Understanding, not attention, is her oxygen. 59. A woman who has lost her fear cannot be controlled. Fear is what kept her small. Fear of being alone. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of being too much or not enough. But once she stops fearing those things, she moves like a storm. Calm, steady, unstoppable. She's not waiting for permission anymore. 60. Women who choose peace over drama have mastered themselves. She could argue. She could prove her point. She could fight to be right. But instead, she chooses peace. She chooses silence. She chooses to protect her energy instead of pouring it into chaos. That's not weakness. That's evolution.
Everyone thinks they know why people act the way they do. But the truth is, the mind plays by hidden rules. Before we go deeper, make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss the kind of psychology facts that change how you see people. 1. The brain rewards certainty more than truth. Your mind doesn't actually crave reality. It craves stability. When a belief feels consistent, your brain releases dopamine, even if that belief is false. That's why people cling to comforting lies and reject uncomfortable facts. Certainty is emotional oxygen. It keeps the chaos out. Truth, on the other hand, often demands pain, and the mind will always choose comfort over pain unless you train it otherwise. 2. When someone controls your attention, they control your emotions. What you look at, you feel. That's why social media doesn't just waste your time. It hijacks your nervous system. Every image, every headline, every argument steals a fraction of your peace. Emotional control begins with attentional control. If you can't choose what to focus on, someone else will. 3. People remember emotional tone, not logic. You could explain the most rational argument in the world, but if your energy feels cold, people will reject it. The subconscious brain listens to how something is said, not what is said. That's why confidence persuades better than data, and calmness wins fights logic never could. 4. Your thoughts aren't random, they're habits. Every time you think a certain way, you carve a groove in your neural pathways. Over time, those grooves become default roads. You're not overthinking because you're broken. You're overthinking because your mind learned that pattern long ago. The secret to peace isn't suppression, it's rerouting the traffic. 5. The human brain is addicted to unfinished stories. When something ends abruptly, a text unanswered, a movie without closure, a love story cut short, your brain can't stop replaying it. It needs completion. That's why people obsess over X's or mysteries. The loop isn't about the person, it's about the story your brain never got to finish. 6. Emotional validation changes the brain faster than therapy alone. When someone truly says, "I understand you," it doesn't just feel good, it changes brain chemistry. Validation quiets the amygdala, lowers cortisol, and restores safety. That's why children heal faster when believed, and adults fall for people who make them feel seen. Understanding is the most powerful form of medicine. 7. People project what they refuse to face. The liar calls others dishonest. The arrogant accuse others of pride. The selfish see manipulation everywhere. The mind externalizes what it can't bear to see within. Every accusation is a mirror disguised as a sword. If you want to know someone's shadow, listen to what they judge most loudly. 8. The brain confuses familiarity with safety. You might be drawn to toxic relationships, not because they're exciting, but because they feel familiar. The emotional chaos resembles what you once called home. Healing requires teaching the body that calm isn't danger, it's peace. That's why healthy love often feels boring at first. It's not dull, it's different. 9. People don't want honesty, they want relief. Most tell me the truth requests aren't really about truth. They're about comfort. We want reassurance disguised as honesty. Real truth rarely soothes, it disrupts. That's why authentic communication is so rare, because people chase feelings, not facts. 10. The mind rewrites memories to protect your identity. When you look back at the past, your brain filters details to preserve your self-image. You forget your mistakes more easily than your triumphs, and when you do remember failure, you soften it. It's not vanity, it's survival. Without that self-protection, guilt could paralyze growth. 11. Love and obsession activate the same brain regions. MRI scans show that intense romantic feelings light up the same pathways as addiction. The dopamine surge, the craving, the withdrawal, all identical. That's why heartbreak feels like detox. Love isn't just emotion, it's chemistry, and chemistry doesn't care about logic. 12. When you suppress anger, your body feels it for you. Bite your tongue enough times, and your stomach tightens, your back aches, your jaw locks. Unspoken emotion doesn't disappear, it migrates. The body becomes the diary the mind refuses to write. 13. Your personality shifts depending on who you're with. You're not fake, you're adaptive. The human brain mirrors tone, energy, and posture to survive socially. That's why you act differently with your boss than with your best friend. Personality isn't fixed, it's a costume woven for context. 14. The reason time speeds up as you age is neurological. As a child, every experience is new. Your brain records more data, so time feels full. As you grow older, routine compresses perception. Less novelty means fewer memories per moment. To slow time down, you must live vividly again. Travel, learn, break patterns. Memory expands life. Monotony shrinks it. 15. People confuse intensity with intimacy. A relationship full of highs and lows feels powerful because adrenaline mimics connection. But chaos isn't love, it's stimulation. Calm love feels unfamiliar to those who grew up with volatility. Emotional peace feels empty until you learn it's actually safety. 16. Empaths aren't born. They're trained by survival. Children who grew up walking on emotional eggshells develop hypersensitivity to moods. They scan faces, tone, silence, always reading, always adjusting. As adults, they call it empathy, but deep down, it's vigilance. True healing begins when they realize feeling safe is not selfish, it's their birthright. 17. Loneliness can mimic physical pain. MRI studies show that rejection activates the same pain centers as a burn or cut. The brain evolved that way because social connection was once survival. Solitude felt like death. That's why isolation hurts, not metaphorically, but neurologically. 18. Self-discipline is emotion management, not willpower. You don't need to be tougher, you need to be calmer. The ability to stick to goals comes from soothing your stress response. When you regulate emotion, focus follows naturally. Success isn't about motivation, it's about emotional neutrality under pressure. 19. Your mind can't tell the difference between imagination and experience. Visualize playing piano, and your motor cortex fires as if you were practicing. Imagine failure, and your body releases stress hormones as if it were happening. The subconscious doesn't care if it's real. It reacts anyway. That's why visualization is power. It trains the mind in advance. 20. The first person to apologize in a fight usually has the higher emotional intelligence. Apologies aren't weakness, they're regulation. It takes strength to put peace above pride. The ego screams to win. The soul whispers to understand. Those who master their ego win a quieter kind of war, the one inside. 21. The human brain is wired for stories, not statistics. That's why you remember a heartbreak more vividly than a number. Stories activate emotion. Emotion cements memory. Facts inform, but stories transform. The best communicators don't argue. They narrate. 22. People who fear abandonment often become their own executioners. They leave first, detach early, ruin what might have worked, all to avoid being hurt later. It's not sabotage. It's preemptive heartbreak. When you expect rejection, peace feels suspicious. 23. Confidence is not thinking you're the best. It's knowing you can survive the worst. It's not arrogance, it's quiet endurance. Confident people fail publicly and rise calmly. Their power comes from resilience, not perfection. 24. Depression isn't sadness, it's disconnection. The world loses color, meaning motion. The brain numbs itself to survive the overload. Healing begins not with happiness, but with reconnection, to nature, to purpose, to people. You don't need constant joy. You need aliveness. 25. The most persuasive people ask more than they state. Questions bypass defense. A question makes the brain engage, while statements make it resist. What do you think is often more powerful than, here's the truth. 26. People remember beginnings and endings, not middles. It's called the serial position effect. The first impression and the final moment frame the entire experience. That's why how you start and how you leave matter far more than what happens in between. 27. The need to be understood is stronger than the need to be loved, because love without understanding feels empty, while understanding without love can still bring peace. The soul doesn't crave romance. It craves recognition. 28. Trauma doesn't make you weak. It rewires survival. Your nervous system becomes hypervigilant, always scanning for danger. Healing isn't deleting the past, it's teaching your body that the war is over. Calmness after trauma isn't laziness, it's a victory. 29. The brain reacts to silence as a question that must be answered. That's why negotiators and therapists use pauses. The discomfort forces the other person to reveal more than they intended. Silence is psychological gravity. It pulls truth out of hiding. 30. People don't fear failure, they fear exposure. To fail is tolerable. To fail publicly feels like death. The ego can survive pain, but not humiliation. That's why some dreams stay buried. Not because you doubt your skill, but because you fear being seen trying. 31. Your mind breaks rules it secretly hates. Every time you force yourself to obey standards that suffocate you, fake politeness, false modesty, performative smiles, your subconscious rebels. That rebellion doesn't look like disobedience, it looks like burnout. It's your brain saying, I can't keep living a life that doesn't match my truth. That's why people quit jobs out of nowhere or end long relationships suddenly. The decision isn't sudden. It's the final scream of a mind that's been silent for too long. The greatest peace you'll ever know comes from alignment, when your thoughts, words, and actions finally stop contradicting each other. 32. The brain can love a person and still know they're wrong for you. Love is biochemical, logical reasoning is cortical, and those systems rarely speak the same language. One fires dopamine, the other calculates consequence. That's why your chest aches for someone you swore you'd never return to. The brain can understand danger while the heart remembers warmth. Healing isn't choosing between them. It's letting both voices exist without letting either one rule you completely. 33. People become who they're most afraid of. A child afraid of controlling parents often grows into an adult who controls everything. The bullied kid becomes hyperdefensive. The ignored partner becomes clingy. Fear doesn't vanish when you grow up. It evolves. It hides behind habits and personalities you think are just who I am. But beneath every extreme behavior lies an echo of a past you never made peace with. The cure isn't suppression. It's confrontation. Naming the pattern is how you end it. 34. Every strong opinion hides an old wound. When someone insists, I'd never let anyone treat me like that, they're not speaking from power. They're speaking from memory. Extreme convictions often grow from buried experiences. The louder the opinion, the deeper the scar. That's why compassion disarms conflict. Understanding melts armor. If you listen long enough, even rage sounds like pain. Retold. 35. Your subconscious decides before you do. Science proves that your brain makes decisions seconds before your conscious mind chooses. The gut feeling you call intuition is your subconscious scanning patterns faster than language. When you ignore it, life punishes you with lessons. When you trust it, it feels like luck. But it's not luck. It's the ancient part of you whispering, I've seen this before. 36. The people who chase happiness the hardest often fear stillness. They travel constantly, chase goals relentlessly, fill every silence with noise. Not because they love motion, but because stillness reveals emptiness. Happiness isn't in the chase. It's in the pause between breaths. When you finally sit with yourself and feel nothing missing, that's peace. Not excitement, not euphoria, but quiet contentment that doesn't need applause. 37. Envy is a mirror, not a flaw. You never envy what means nothing to you. Jealousy points to suppressed desire. The career you abandoned, the courage you never used, the love you think you don't deserve. Envy isn't evil, it's information. The mature mind doesn't shame envy, it studies it. Ask yourself, what does this person's success remind me that I once wanted? That question transforms envy into guidance. 38. Emotional numbness is self-defense, not apathy. When the pain becomes too heavy, the mind pulls a blackout curtain. You stop feeling highs or lows, you just float. People call it depression, but it's actually the nervous system's emergency brake. It's saying, we can't process anymore right now. Healing means gently reopening those circuits, not forcing joy, but relearning safety. It takes patience to teach the body that life can be felt again without breaking. 39. Memory and imagination use the same neural pathways. That's why you can suffer from things that never happened, because your mind can make them real. Anxiety is imagination turned against you. Creativity is the same process pointed toward beauty. The power is neutral, direction is choice. When you visualize worst-case scenarios, your body rehearses them like reality. When you imagine peace, your body relaxes as if it's true. You are always creating your own weather. 40. The people you forgive too quickly are the ones who taught you to fear abandonment. You rush to pardon, not because they deserve it, but because conflict terrifies you. Forgiveness without accountability isn't kindness. It's fear dressed as virtue. Real forgiveness includes boundaries. It says, I release the pain, but I won't let you reload it. The goal is not endless tolerance. It's self-respect. 41. The need to be liked is a relic of survival. Thousands of years ago, rejection meant death, exile from the tribe. That wiring still lives in your nervous system. That's why a stranger's criticism online can ruin your day. Your biology hasn't updated to modern life. Understanding. This is liberation. When you know the fear is ancient, you stop obeying it. 42. Humor is humanity's last defense against despair. When you laugh at your trauma, you're not minimizing it, you're mastering it. The brain releases endorphins when you find humor in pain. It's literally self-healing through irony. That's why dark humor thrives in hospitals, war zones, and grief. It's not disrespect. It's rebellion against suffering. The moment you laugh at what tried to break you, you win. 43. You attract what you tolerate. People show you who they are in small ways, the late reply, the backhanded comment, the subtle guilt trip. Your silence teaches them how to treat you. Boundaries aren't walls, they're mirrors saying, this is the standard. Every relationship you keep is a reflection of what you believe you deserve. Raise the standard, and the cast of your life changes. 44. Control is the mind's antidote to chaos. When life feels unpredictable, people cling to schedules, routines, rituals. But the obsession with control can become its own prison. Flexibility is a higher form of control, the ability to remain steady while adapting. Mastery isn't rigidity, it's calm in motion. 45. The need for revenge is the ego's way of avoiding grief. When betrayed, the mind says, I'll make them pay, because anger feels stronger than sadness. But revenge doesn't heal. It delays heartbreak. True strength is letting the wound close without reopening it in someone else. Forgiveness isn't weakness. It's letting go of a story that keeps you hostage. 46. Most people confuse chemistry with compatibility. Chemistry is the spark. Compatibility is the firewood. Sparks burn bright but vanish fast. Firewood sustains warmth over time. The problem is, dopamine screams louder than peace. You mistake excitement for connection, chaos for passion, but long-term love is quiet. It's the kind of warmth that doesn't flicker even when life storms outside. 47. You are addicted to your own suffering, not consciously, but neurologically. The brain becomes chemically accustomed to certain emotional states. If sadness was your constant, happiness feels foreign. That's why you find yourself missing the very pain you escaped. Healing isn't comfort. It's withdrawal from familiar misery. 48. People reveal their truest nature in how they handle power. Give someone control, even small control, and you'll see their truth. Power doesn't corrupt. It exposes. It magnifies what was already there, hidden under politeness and fear. That's why humility in power is divine. It means the person remembers what it felt like to be powerless. 49. Overthinking is your brain's attempt to create safety in uncertainty. It's not stupidity. It's hypervigilance. Your mind believes if it runs every scenario, it can prevent pain. But life doesn't follow blueprints. The more you think, the more possibilities you generate, and the more trapped you feel. Freedom begins when you realize you'll survive even without certainty. 50. Self-worth is not discovered, it's built. You don't find confidence by waiting for it. You earn it through promises kept to yourself. Every time you act in alignment with your values, your brain learns, I can trust me. Confidence isn't arrogance. It's self-trust repeated until doubt runs out of breath. 51. The calmest people once knew the loudest chaos. Their serenity isn't ignorance, it's experience. They've seen storms so fierce that now nothing rattles them. Their peace is armor forged in fire. You can't fake calm, it's learned through survival. 52. Gratitude doesn't change circumstances, it changes perception. Your life might stay the same, but your interpretation evolves. Gratitude trains the mind to notice the abundance already present. It doesn't deny pain, it balances it. It's psychological alchemy, turning ordinary days into proof of resilience. 53. Every decision is a trade between comfort and growth. The brain hates uncertainty, so it disguises stagnation as safety. But every leap forward starts as fear. Growth is uncomfortable because comfort zones are coffins painted as couches. Choose discomfort. It's the tax for evolution. 54. Trauma creates hyper-independence. People who were failed by others learn to rely only on themselves. They call it strength, but it's often exhaustion. Healing isn't becoming weaker. It's allowing trust again. True strength is interdependence, not isolation. 55. People who talk less usually think more. Silence is not absence, it's observation. While others fill space with noise, quiet minds gather information. Stillness is strategy. It allows time for truth to reveal itself. 56. The future doesn't exist, your anticipation does. What you fear hasn't happened. What you hope for hasn't either. Anxiety and excitement are twins wearing different masks. Both are imagination projected onto time. Peace lives only in the present. Yet the human mind keeps running ahead. The cure for anxiety is participation in the now. 57. People hide in perfectionism because they fear rejection. If they make no mistakes, maybe no one will leave. But perfectionism kills creativity and drains joy. The truth is, flaws are connection points, proof of humanity. Nobody bonds with perfection. They bond with honesty. 58. The brain prioritizes emotion over reason every single time. Even the most rational decisions begin with feelings. You decide emotionally, then justify logically. Understanding this gives you power. If you can regulate emotion, you can direct your entire life. 59. Detachment isn't disinterest, it's clarity. It's seeing without the fog of desperation. You still care, but you're not owned by outcomes. Emotional detachment is how people keep peace while the world panics. It's not cold, it's composed. 60. Healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means remembering without bleeding. Pain never fully disappears. It transforms. You carry it like a scar. Proof you survived, not a reminder of defeat. Healing is when the memory stays, but the reaction changes. The past stops owning your present, and your story finally belongs to you.
Spending time in nature can help clear your mind and reduce feelings of stress. People who drink enough water throughout the day tend to have better focus and productivity. Regular physical activity has been linked to improved mental health and well-being. Spending time with loved ones can improve emotional resilience and increase feelings of happiness. People who practice deep breathing exercises experience reduced anxiety and stress. Taking short breaks throughout the workday helps maintain mental clarity and focus. People who smile often tend to feel more positive emotions and experience less stress. Spending time in the sun for short periods of time can boost vitamin D levels and improve mood. Drinking herbal tea before bed can help you relax and improve your sleep quality. Spending time on creative hobbies like drawing or writing has been shown to reduce stress. People who take time for self-care are more likely to be emotionally resilient during tough times. Regularly engaging in physical exercise improves brain function and overall energy levels. Spending time with animals can help reduce feelings of loneliness and improve emotional well-being. People who take regular naps tend to experience improved mood and focus throughout the day. Drinking water first thing in the morning can help jumpstart your metabolism and improve hydration. Spending time outdoors for just 20 minutes a day can increase creativity and reduce mental fatigue. People who engage in mindfulness practices tend to have better mental clarity and emotional stability. Taking short walks during the day helps improve mood and boosts energy levels. People who engage in social activities tend to have a lower risk of mental health issues. Spending time reflecting on your goals each day can help boost motivation and keep you focused. Drinking green smoothies, packed with fruits and vegetables, can improve digestion and energy. People who maintain a balanced diet report feeling more energized and mentally sharp. Spending time with supportive people can help reduce anxiety and improve mental health. Taking deep breaths during stressful moments can calm the nervous system and reduce tension. People who prioritize their sleep quality tend to experience better cognitive function and memory. Spending time in nature has been shown to lower blood pressure and reduce stress. People who engage in physical activities outdoors report feeling more relaxed and energized. Spending time journaling helps improve emotional health by promoting self-awareness. People who engage in regular social activities tend to have stronger mental resilience. Drinking herbal teas like chamomile can help improve sleep and promote relaxation. Spending time with children helps boost mood and improve emotional well-being. People who smile at others tend to feel happier and experience less stress. Taking time for self-care activities like reading or bathing can help reduce stress and improve mental clarity. People who practice gratitude tend to experience improved emotional health and happiness. Spending time in quiet places can help clear your mind and improve focus. People who engage in hobbies like painting or playing an instrument report lower stress levels. Spending time with family and friends increases feelings of support and happiness. People who get outside for even short periods during the day feel less fatigued and more energized. Drinking water regularly helps with digestion and boosts energy throughout the day. Spending time in green spaces helps improve mood and cognitive function. People who exercise outdoors tend to have a better mood and increased creativity. Taking time for yourself each day can improve focus and emotional resilience. Spending time journaling helps process emotions and gain clarity on personal goals. People who engage in physical exercise regularly report feeling less stressed and more energized. Drinking green tea regularly has been linked to improved brain function and metabolism. People who engage in creative hobbies report feeling less stressed and more fulfilled. Spending time with positive, supportive people can help boost your mood and mental health. Drinking herbal tea like peppermint or ginger can help improve digestion and relaxation. Spending time on self-care activities can increase emotional resilience and reduce stress. People who laugh often tend to feel happier and experience lower levels of anxiety. Taking regular breaks to relax during the day can improve focus and mental clarity. Spending time with pets has been shown to reduce stress and improve overall happiness. People who sleep well are generally more productive and experience less fatigue. Drinking enough water is crucial for maintaining energy levels and brain function. Spending time reflecting on your progress can help you feel more accomplished and motivated. People who make time for physical activity report lower levels of stress and anxiety. Time 3s. Taking deep breaths when you're feeling stressed can quickly improve mental clarity.